E! News was contacting me. The Today Show, it went nuts. This really started the vintage wedding cake trend. Gwen had a photo of her parents with their wedding cake in the early 60s sent to me. She said, tell the baker I want something like my parents' cake. This cake went viral because Gwen and Blake post all of our work the day after the wedding and gave us credit. This is Gwen's thing. She's the reason this went viral.
Yes, and you are really seeing that trend like crazy right now.
It started the whole thing. And so now mothers will come to me and say, Lauren, this is my wedding cake. I don't really like it, but my daughter wants it. And I'm like, this is perfect.
Hi, my name is Andrea, and besides of being recently married, I own the leading company in bouquet preservation in the world. It is when connecting with my clients that I felt the need to serve them and help them navigate this new and exciting journey. On this podcast, we bring you everything you need to know to plan the wedding of your dreams. We'll be featuring conversations with top wedding vendors and valuable tips and advice from real couples. Whether you're engaged or simply love, this podcast is for you. So sit back, relax, and let's get started on this journey to your perfect wedding day. Welcome to the club, to Bridal Club.
We are so excited to be here with Lauren Kitchens with Fancy Cakes. She's going to be telling us all about her story, how she started, and where she is today. Lauren, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
This is a dream come true, truly.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for wanting to do this.
Yes.
It's a lot of fun.
Yes, of course. We have not had a single baker on the podcast, and the first and the best.
Oh,
I know.
So sweet.
All right. So why don't you tell our audience who you are and how you started?
I'm Lauren Kitchens, and I'm from Dallas, and my bakery's in Dallas, and I have always been able to make things, even as a little child. And so I got into cake decorating back in the 80s when there was no Food Network, there was no internet, like archaic. They had cooking shows on the PBS channels. And at the end of every episode, there would be a French pastry section. I would watch these French chefs with their big bags of meringue, and they'd throw them over their shoulder and they would just start piping the most beautiful things. And I was like, what are they doing? What is in that bag? I have to have this.
How old were you then?
10.
Oh my God.
10, 11,
That's
12,
awesome.
something like that. And so I was always fascinated with cake because it's something you can make that's charming and resonates with almost everyone, and then you can eat it. So when I was in college, I went to college, but I lived at home when I went to school. I was making cakes at home, and my parents were like, stop making these cakes. We're going to get so fat. So I was like, but I can't throw them out. I cannot throw them out, Andrea. So I would take them to class, and I would give them to my girlfriends who had mothers that lived near campus. They'd take this to your mom. So these mothers started ordering cake. And I was like, you're going to pay me for this? Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And so I graduated with a degree in film theory. It was the 90s. Everyone went to film school. And I started making these birthday cakes. I pay my parents $200 a month for kitchen rent.
Wow.
And like I had a refrigerator next to my bed.
I love it.
Like it was just like from the ground up. And then one of these women said to me, Lauren, my niece is getting married. Would you make her wedding cake? And I was like, weddings? Oh my God. I'd never put that together. Because if you think about a wedding, I'm not very bridal. I'm not very girly. I'm in the minority with that. But a wedding is the only place where a cake artist can make large scale cakes all throughout the year. Large scale cake.
And we're talking about
large scale cakes. And so it was my opportunity. I have a business idea.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it because your story and mine are actually very similar. Mine started as a hobby, just pressing flowers here and there. And then people were asking, can you create something for me? And as you said, I'm going to get paid for this. This is insane.
I love doing this.
I cannot believe somebody's going to pay me for me to actually have a blast.
Yeah.
How is this real, right? And then same thing, somebody asked, can you do my wedding bouquet? I was like, oh my word.
Weddings.
Okay, well, I want to talk to you about the Barbie one, please. That was one of your first cakes too, right?
Yes.
Can we please?
Yes. So I was making cakes, and there was this place in Dallas called MJ Designs. It's now Michael's, but they had a little bitty section of cake decorating supplies. And there were like, some piping bags and some spatulas. And there were these little, they weren't Barbies, but they were like half of a Barbie on a stick. I was like, what the hell is this? So I figured it out. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to make my friend for her 18th birthday a bundt cake, and I'm going to decorate it and stick the Barbie in the middle like it's her dress. It was a piece of crap, but all my friends loved it.
Yeah, and how old were you then?
18.
Yeah. I love the fact that you have a photo of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My parents are just clicking everything, but I'm not a prodigy. You can definitely tell as the years progress, I've gotten better and better and better.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I'm not a prodigy. You know.
Yeah. I know. Sometimes I look back and I'm like, I cringe. I'm like, how in the world did somebody buy this?
I know. And they loved it.
I know. That's an important part of it.
It is.
All,
I think
right?
the thing about you and me, what we create are memories.
Yes.
And a very special time in their lives. And we did a sweet 16 cake at the Adolphus for my client whose wedding I had done 18 years ago. So now the kids are getting older, which makes me feel really old, but it makes me feel like they want to pull me into another special event in their life. It makes me feel special.
Yeah, it's like you're part of the family now. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, you were on the Food Network, and I want you to tell us more about your experience there as well.
It was called Food Network Challenge. It was the first televised cake competition. An associate producer from Food Network, she called me and she said, would you be interested in doing the show? And I said, absolutely not. No.
What?
I didn't think I was good enough.
So you didn't apply? Like they
came to me.
Wow.
And I said no. And you know, that whole thing, being in your early 30s and you're just not enough. Like not enough.
Yes.
So there was definitely a confidence issue. And I went home. I was married at the time. I told my husband what had happened and he said, call them back. I said, why? And he said, this is the first time in your business of owning fancy cakes that your revenue's down.
Oh, wow.
Because it was the recession in 2008.
Oh my God.
I know.
Yeah.
And I wasn't very luxury at the time. Okay. So my middle class brides weren't getting married. They were saving money because they were freaking out.
Yeah, makes sense.
And so it was the first time we were down 20% in sales. I'd never been down before. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do this. What happened to me on that show is exactly what I thought was going to happen. I took it way too seriously. I would stress about it. I would cry about it. We would practice at the bakery under the 8-hour time limit. And we'd be like, okay, go. And if we couldn't make the cake in 8 hours, we would go back and say, okay, what can we shorten? What can we do to make this? So I took it so seriously. But the thing about doing those shows, and you know this, you have to turn down work.
Oh, yeah.
To go do the show.
Of course. Yeah, it's time. Time is money.
It's time.
Yeah.
And so it's like, people say, Lauren, do TV. I don't want to do TV anymore because first of all, when I did it, it was competition TV. Now it's reality TV.
That's so true, you guys. We were talking about this earlier, and it's so different.
It's so different. Yeah. After I finished Mr. Krabs, I knew that was going to be my last challenge. I didn't know why. I just knew it was going to be. They called me a month later, and they said, would you like to be in a Dora the Explorer cake competition? I was like, when? Next week. Next week! I would get 3 months notice before. Yeah. It's like, I'm not going to be ready. I got to close the shop down. I got to practice. I got to take it seriously. And then shortly after that, we had all got email from the Food Network producers because we were in a cast of competitors. We couldn't go on another network and
they made you sign
the thing and they give you a little cash and you stay where you stay put. And the email said, we want the competitors to start being petty. I can't remember the words. They wanted us to fight.
Yeah. Yes.
And I'm just like, wait a minute. We're doing the show for free. Our name is out there. So it's our reputation. We're giving it our all. And that's when I saw it, Andre. That's when I saw it turn from competition TV to reality TV. And things are fed to you to say things a certain way, even if you don't believe it. And they just want to get it on camera. And I'd said something really nasty about a competitor's cake in the SpongeBob episode. They told me they were changing the tape in the camera.
Oh, of course they did.
And I said this horrible thing that her cake looked like snot rockets. And it made the episode. I was mortified. I'm sure that woman doesn't even remember what I said about her cake. But I was like, oh my God.
I don't know if you know this or not, but I was on a reality TV show and we had similar experiences, even though it was very, very different. It's sad when it comes to, again, as you said, like from actually a competition of talent to reality TV show, and most people that don't know the behind the scenes may not be aware. So tell me more about fancy cakes. Can we talk about this?
Yes. Gwen Stefani and Blake Shelton's wedding cake. The sweetest, easiest couple, the most generous. It's shocking. Like, it's shocking. This was in their backyard. You can see all these pictures online. Everything was taken downstairs in their living room.
Wow.
And then he had a chapel built on the property, and that's where they got married.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
You work with some of our favorite planners in the United States.
Oh.
Obviously, they hire you because you're the best. This cake particularly is not a typical wedding cake. Can you tell me more about the behind the scenes or behind the story, I guess, of the cake?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was a
Yeah.
Todd
Yeah.
Fiskus wedding, and he told me, you to make a high-profile cake, wedding cake in a month. It was July. I'm like, all right, I'll make any cake you want. What are
Yeah.
you talking?
Yeah,
Why are
yeah.
you asking me? And I said, who's it for? And he said, I can't tell you till you sign this NDA. It's like, who's this for? Like, I feel like the Secret Service. So I
Oh my
signed the
gosh.
NDA. I was like, okay, who's this for? And he said, Gwen Stefani and Blake Shelton. I said, no, really, who's it for?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
no, it's not. And so that just got us really excited. And I didn't have a design board. I didn't know what the house looked like. I didn't know anything. And Gwen had a photo of her parents with their wedding cake in the early 60s sent to me. And she said, tell the baker, I want something like my parents' cake. Andrea, I did one sketch. This cake went viral because Gwen and Blake post all of our work the day after the wedding and gave us credit and paid for our work.
Yes.
Like, it was so unusual. Todd sent me a screenshot, Gwen Stefani, and then a Fancy Cakes by Lauren, and everybody from Todd, me, Lucy Rubel, everybody was listed on every post they made. This is very unusual.
So unusual,
This is
y'all.
very unusual. Like, and to not have to ask. So once it was posted, E! News was contacting me. To the Today Show was they would tell us anything about this cake. Do we have the scoop? Do we have the scoop? I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. It went nuts. And so, I go to this place of somebody was going to make this cake and it was going to go viral because this really started the vintage wedding cake trend. If it was me or if it was somebody else, this is Gwen's thing. She's the reason this went viral, not Fancy Cakes.
Yeah. Well, but you are the artist.
I did.
Behind it, which is amazing.
I happen to get to do that cake.
And you are really seeing that trend like crazy right now.
My
You're getting to
gosh.
see this. And that's so right. And actually never put it together. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
it started the whole thing. And so now I'm seeing, like, mothers will come to me and say, Lauren, this is my wedding cake. I don't really like it, but my daughter wants it. And I'm like, this is perfect.
Yeah, right. And I mean, just basically you and her started a trend. I love that. And I love that because obviously it was very meaningful to the bride,
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Just like paying tribute to the parents.
I actually have a question for you. I'm from Mexico originally, and in Mexico, you don't have the groom's cake. That's so new to me. In fact, I just started hearing about it just recently.
Yeah.
Can you tell our audience, for those who may not know about that?
It is a second cake at the wedding.
Yes.
It's the groom's cake.
Tell me more about how that goes, how that happened,
Right.
Yeah.
It's very Southern. It's very Southern that stretches into Texas. So if you are not from the South or Texas, I don't know why I don't call Texas the South. I just don't consider it the South. Texas is kind of its own beast.
That's true.
And it started, no one can really tell when this started. And when people wanted a chocolate cake or a red velvet cake or like another kind of cake. And because the thing about the South, everyone wants to offer everything to their guests.
Yeah.
I want variety.
Hospitality is like
hospitality.
literally number one for everybody. I mean, if you have been to Texas, you know.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's all about that. So this second cake, when I first started making cakes in the 90s, the groom's cake, it was very big, but it was chocolate dipped strawberries on a chocolate cake with chocolate. It was nothing. It was just like a chocolate cake. Maybe there was a monogram on it. I mean, it was nothing. And then it was television, cake on TV, when the couples were seeing all these sculpted cakes. And maybe we should do that for a groom's cake.
Wow.
So it's like, okay, I'm making football stadiums for
Yeah.
groom. I'm taking football stadiums to 4 seasons. I'm taking, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like,
I'm taking somebody's dog
yeah.
that I made out of cake.
Yeah.
I am very, very good at deconstructing shapes and finding the shape in the stadium. And then I'm great at pulling details away. So I can actually do the full facade of the TCU stadium, but it's not quite exact, but it's that you can tell.
Oh, absolutely.
That is the,
1,000%.
So it's just like taking away those little details and really focusing attention on the big ones.
I can understand why you're so passionate about this, because every basically orders a different thing that resonates to them,
And Andrea, sometimes the groom's cakes are for the couple. They represent the couple.
That makes sense.
With their dog and where they've been or something like that. So it's not necessarily just for the groom.
Yeah.
But
we still call them groom's cakes.
We call them groom's cakes.
If you were to name like your top 3 most interesting, crazy ideas, what would you say they were?
Oh my God.
Sorry, I put you on the spot here.
All of those ones I did on Food Network, but those weren't for clients.
Like you have a Chick-fil-A one with a big sauce. Like
The Chick-fil-A one is huge. The dogs are always going to be the number one, even if you don't have a dog. I see clients look in the portfolio and they stop on the dogs and they're like, "What?" It's just like, so
yeah.
the dogs, I'm good with animals.
And that's hard. That's really hard.
That's
I mean,
hard.
even just, if you know how to draw, I'm an artist, right? So
Yeah.
even if you know how to draw or paint, it's very hard because everybody has their personalities in dogs too.
Yes.
And so like if you have a bulldog, it's not just a bulldog. It has to look like
you have to bring life into it somehow, whether it's a twinkle in a little white spots in the eye for a twinkle, or it's a tilt of the head, or, it's got to have life.
Yes.
And one of my favorite cakes we did at the end of the year, it was the giant deer. It was a big stag.
Oh, I saw that one.
Did you see that one? And I was just like, okay.
What was there in the bottom, by the way?
It was moss, but it was green airbrushed cake.
Oh, it was cake. I was like, is that cabbage? What is that?
That would have been a good idea. It would have been smelly. Yeah, it would have been a good idea.
It would have been a horrible idea. I like seriously zoomed in. I was like, what is that?
Yeah, it's just like,
that was stunning.
You know how you cut the tops of the cakes off after you bake them? We just flip them upside down, airbrush them with green color. And
airbrushing. Like, what is happening? I love it.
It was so funny. I was like, oh, I can do this deer, no problem. A deer is completely different than a dog. Oh. The face is different. The legs are different. The way they bend is different. And so I had to study the anatomy.
Wow. How do you do that?
Various photos. And with the deer, I went in and I got pictures from the side, the top, the front, standing, laying down, sitting, any kind of angle I could get, any expression. They don't have a lot of expression.
Right. Yeah.
They just have a presence. Huh. Where's the meat go? Where do I put the fat rolls?
Wow.
So I'm studying the muscle.
Well, speaking of, I mean, not necessarily like the fat rolls as you mentioned, but I did see that you do a lot of like fabric too. And it looks like fabric, or like, I think it was like a backpack or something like that. I can't remember what it was. God, yes. But you could see the folds and like the shadows.
That's the difference with a good sculpted cake and an okay sculpted cake. The reality of the imperfections, that brings it home. Because you think of a backpack, you see a backpack in the store or something and it's stuffed with paper so it'll be real full. That's not a backpack. You know, I want something to look like the dude took it off his shoulder and threw it on the table and there's his backpack.
And that is what it looks like. Truly. That's crazy. Okay. You can obviously see how passionate you are. And it's insane. So you've been doing this for 23 years. Is that right?
So I got in this building in 23 years ago, but I was making cakes 3 years before that.
Okay.
So yeah, I've never had a job. This is the only,
this is definitely a job.
Like when you finish a piece, do you stand back and go, especially when you love how it turned out, do you feel this satisfaction, like this instant gratification of,
oh yeah, we don't want to, I mean, we of course want to give it back to it, right? But a part of us is like, can we just keep this? It's stunning. Like we're so proud of it.
You get attached to it.
Yeah, you do.
That has not gone away.
Oh, good.
That has not gone away.
That's awesome.
And so, but sometimes I'll get clients who they're just like, Lauren, I need a cake. I don't really care about cake. I just need a cake. And I'm like, okay, let's do something really simple. Skip the groom's cake.
Well, she says simple, but it's still like you see the cake and you're like, that's beautiful. Like, I mean, you had a suit, like I wear black all the time, right? And you had a cake that was like all black. I think it was like 3 layers, right? Is that what it's called? Tiers.
Yeah.
And then it had orchids.
Yes.
And it was like super plain, simple. Oh my gosh.
And it was a base price cake. And it worked. And black cakes have to be fake. I'm sorry.
Oh, really?
I'm not feeding your guest black buttercream. It's going to turn everybo's teeth purple. Not even black. It's going to turn it purple.
Well, this is why you need a baker like her, because she cares.
I do. I care about grandma's teeth in the photo.
Okay. So obviously we're having a great conversation. She's super passionate. We just want to be here all the time. I know you get a lot of inspiration from everything regarding the wedding. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously you want to have the conversation before because you book in advance, but you want that inspiration once like most things are done, secured and everything. Can you tell me more about that?
So a lot of people, they get engaged and they get really excited and they're just like, let's go taste cake. It's like, yeah, but you have one appointment with me for 1 hour. I won't have anything to design this cake around. I don't know your colors. You don't have your gown. I don't know your flowers. I don't even know your venue. Can't really give you the experience you want.
Yes.
You've got to come to me last. You've got to come to when floral's done, when linens are done. When you have your venue, I need to know what I'm working with.
So would they book you in advance and then come later to design, or do you prefer for them to push the reservation?
That's a really good question. I would book me to advance.
Right.
It's $250 and you're in. You're in for that date.
Okay.
And then you come in and
Once you
talk
have
to me
the
about it.
bookings.
Yeah. And then we go step by step.
Something that I love about everything that you do is, again, she works with top-notch wedding planners, and you'll see, like, once you go to your Instagram, the cake not only belongs, but the cake has its own place, its own flowers. It's like the wedding cake, and I don't feel like I knew that before.
It is spotless.
Yes.
They'll build flower arches around the wedding cake. And the cake is a thing at these weddings. Anytime I take a cake to the wedding and they're like, Lauren, it's in the corner. No, it's not. The cake's not going in the corner.
But now you're getting like the front stage though.
Yes.
Like truly.
The mothers will be like, this cake is too big and we've got too many people in the ballroom. And I'm like, listen, get a room service table with wheels from the hotel, linen it. We can roll the cake onto the dance floor. The kids can cut the cake. You can roll it off. There's so many things we can do to make this a centerpiece.
I don't know if it's you who did this or not, but now it is. Like, I really, really want to show you, like, with Flora Bella.
Yeah.
She's
Bella Flora.
Yeah. Sorry. Yes. She's decorated everything around it for the cake.
It's just insane. And I know it's about the couple and I know it's not about me, but it makes me feel special that my work is getting showcased like that.
I know, seriously.
It makes it
and then
special.
Also, again, like once you see the cake, it not only belongs, but everything goes so smoothly. Like the cake matches the linens, the actual wedding gown of the bride, the colors, the flowers. There's so much customization and uniqueness on each of your creations.
Definitely has something to do with the wedding planning industry. I do not like working with brides who don't have planners because nothing is ever cohesive. Even if they say, well, I'm a planner, I plan corporate events. Oh, that's so different. That is so different. Yeah. Like you don't know the wedding vendors and you don't understand the timeline and you can't get it off Google. And then you're going to have to be dealing with vendors who can't find the loading dock on your wedding day.
Yeah.
Like it makes no sense. And these planners, especially the ones we have in Dallas, have a design eye.
Oh, yes. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my God. They're putting it all together and I'm always blown away.
Yeah. And it makes your job easier and then also so inspiring too.
Makes me look better. Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So if you were to say, what's the most common things that you based the cake on? Was it like, is it the flowers?
I want to see the gown. I want to see, is it a sleek Jackie O timeless gown? Because then I'm going to say, let's do something understated or let's do something really big and calm. Is it a bold dress? Do you want to be more bold? Think of it this way. The wedding cake is the gown of the reception.
Oh, I love that.
So I want to see what she's wearing.
Yes.
And I don't necessarily want to match the cake to the gown. That was a very 2000s thing. It's like the cake had everything but her head. So instead of that, we'll take elements and just create a pretty cake from it.
I love it.
And I'm a sucker for fresh flowers on a cake.
Yes.
I love fresh flowers on a cake. We'll do sugar flowers, of course, but there's something about if the room is filled with flowers, why aren't there fresh flowers on that cake?
Oh, yes. And again, everything kind of like goes
everything
together.
comes together.
I love it.
Everything comes together.
Is there anything else you would like to share with our audience?
So there is a great story.
Okay.
It was a planner I didn't know. The planner lives in Philadelphia or something, and she was at a venue, Arlington Hall here in Dallas, which is a very popular venue. The bride and the planner came in. The bride was creative, rare for a bride to be creative. Like she just had this whole thing in her head, and I didn't like it. She was like, Lauren, here's my invitation and I want this on the cake. And I was like, whoa, it was a blue lattice covered in flowers and leaves with birds and bows. I mean, it was crazy. And I was just like, you want to just maybe tone it down a little bit? And then she showed me her gown and she showed me the tint inspiration and all the things that, they were going to have printed on the floors and Three Branches was doing the flowers. So I knew it was going to be real lush. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll do that. I'll do this. I'll do what she wants. So I photoshopped it. I hated it. I sent it to her. She was like, I love it. I'm like, damn. Okay.
She's so honest.
I hated it. I was just like, God, I don't want to mess this up for her. I know.
It's like my name, right?
Yes, it's my name. But I was so wrong. We get to Arlington Hall and Sandoni had set up the tent. Sandoni's tents are absolutely stunning.
That's what I had for my wedding.
Love.
Yeah.
And it was a very windy day in March. So it was cold, but it was windy. So I set the cake down a few hours before and I delivered the other cakes and I went back home and my phone's ringing off the hook. It's the planner. She's like, Lauren, the cake's melted. Like, well, it's a fake cake. What are you talking about? It's melted. So the whole cake is melted. I'm like, okay, show me a picture. Like, let's calm this down. I'm here. I live 10 minutes from the venue. Show me the picture. The wind had lifted the tarp during setup, and all that sun came beaming down on one side of that entire
Sorry
cake.
to interrupt. Sandoni was actually on the podcast.
I love them.
Yes. So we talk about how the greenhouse effect.
Yes, it is real.
So this is like literally what you're talking about.
It's real.
Holy smokes.
It is. Every time there's a clear tent, I'm very particular about delivery time because I don't want it to melt.
Yeah, this is great advice because tented weddings are very popular these days.
Very.
Be careful.
It's
okay.
Yeah, and then but the sun goes down and the tarp comes off and everything's perfect and you see the sky and it's gorgeous.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful.
But if you have a rookie cake artist, talk to them about that. Yes. Even with Sandoni's tarps, the wind can still...
Or maybe not. Just hire.
That would be that. So I get there and nobody's in there except the planner's interns. And I see the cake and my stomach just drops into my feet. Oh. This cake had a big bow and it had some sugar flowers and the florist was gone. I was like, I can put flowers on this. The florist was gone. Luckily, 3 branches had brought aisles of flowers, runners and huge bouquets, like huge centerpieces. There were flowers everywhere. And I love those girls. I knew they wouldn't care. I grabbed my scissors and I clip and I clip and I clip. And I'm bringing just flowers that don't make a hole in their work. Yes. I'm bringing them to save me. I take off all the sugar flowers and I just focus on the real flowers going down the side of the cake and then adding the sugar flowers in. And I was like, okay, this looks good. I can't get out. I'm trapped because ceremony's happening outside of the tent.
Oh my God.
I'm trapped. And so the photographer is doing detail shots and they're like, Lauren, get under the bar. Just get under. Like, I don't care. I wanted that to work.
Oh my God.
Like, I've got no ego about this. This is about the cake.
Yeah, of course.
I've got no ego about it. So the planner said, this looks great. The bride never knew. The photographs were phenomenal. The cake design went with the whole room. There wasn't very much lattice in the rest of the room. It was really just delegated to the cake.
Wow.
It worked so well, in fact, that the bride didn't notice that there were a ton of flowers on her cake. There weren't supposed to be.
Yeah.
There were a ton of flowers, but she thought it was beautiful.
Wow.
So this is what you pay the big bucks for. We come and we save the day.
Honestly, seriously.
We'll save the day.
What happens if they didn't have you? They have a melted cake that everyone's going to notice.
I mean, I could not say to them, this isn't my fault. This isn't my problem.
Oh,
It is my problem.
Oh, yes.
It is my problem.
Yeah. And that is a good thing about vendors like us. We take full responsibility of our products because we stand behind the quality.
Yes.
Like, and the quality goes, and actually, this is another thing I wanted to talk to you about. This is not just a cake. It's an experience.
It's an experience.
And this is part of
that.
Yes.
It's an experience. I want couples to come here and they'll meet with me and they'll do the tasting with me. The one thing I want them to say when they leave, this was so much fun. I want them to have that because planning a wedding is really hard. Even with a great planner,
it really is.
It's really stressful. And I want them to say, this is so much fun.
And then also, can we talk about the quality of the cake as well? Because, I mean, could we potentially, an artist, put a wedding cake, or a cake that is fun and looks amazing? Possibly. Is it going to taste amazing? There's a balance there that most people, I mean, I try pretty cakes, and they're just not good. They're dry.
I know. And I think the bar is set really low for wedding cakes. I think people are just expecting a dry white cake with raspberry jelly. My cakes are not dry. And I do lean towards the dessert. I want this to be dessert. I don't want this to be just a plain white cake.
Yes.
I want it to be a dessert. And because most of the time it's written on the menu cards anyway. I want them to see like lemon cake with blueberry mousse filling and vanilla buttercream. I want them to see that and get excited with the cake. And then the cake is so good, they ask the bride, where'd you get your cake? The cake tasting good is marketing for me. Like, I want my clients to have a good tasting cake, but I want to have a good tasting cake. The fondant. We rarely use fondant for wedding cakes because over these 23, 24 years, I've gotten, Lauren, I hate fondant. I don't want it on my cake. And I'm like, I'll figure it out.
Wow.
So the fondant is really for the dogs, the deer, the sneakers, any kind of sculpted cake that has a lot of curve.
Yes.
The other stuff we use white chocolate where there's straight lines.
Oh my gosh.
But under the fondant is buttercream and cake. So you just peel it off.
Yeah.
You just peel it off.
That's awesome.
Some venues will pre-peel the fondant off the whole cake and then they'll cut
really?
it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I had
Yeah.
no idea there was like
There's like a
steps in
whole,
it.
and I'll show you, they did that with the stag at Dallas Country Club. I have a picture. The chef just pulled the fondant off like he skinned the deer. This is disgusting. I'm so glad I have a picture of this. And he's cutting it up and it's just chocolate cake with chocolate buttercream.
Wow.
And everyone's eating their cake.
Yeah.
But like, it's okay. I think that I hear a lot of, we want the cake to be beautiful and delicious. We don't want it to be one or the other. And I'm like, that's exactly what my goal is too.
Yeah.
And I have more
fancy cakes is on the name.
Yeah. Fancy cakes.
Exactly.
It's got to taste good. It's got to look good.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for this. Was amazing. I wish I could try your cakes.
You can. I made a box for you guys.
Did you really?
Yes.
Oh my God, it's my birthday and I'm having cake by your fancy cake. This is so awesome.
I even have a candle.
Really?
So yes.
Thank you.
You're so
This is so
This was so much fun.
Thank you.
Learn about all things wedding straight from the experts. Be sure to like and subscribe to Bridal Club.